Okay, we're going to talk about the sum of the angles in a triangle. First of all, I think you know this, but we're just going to remind ourselves what we know about angles in a triangle. If you add 3 angles in a triangle together, you should get 180 degrees every single time in every single triangle. Now, not every single triangle has different angles. Sometimes they're all the same, sometimes a couple of them are the same, sometimes there's a right angle. But if you add all the 3 angles in a triangle together, you will get 180 degrees. So first of all, if I want to find the missing angle of a triangle, and I know they all add up to 180 degrees, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these two together and then subtract from 180. So 65 plus 30 is 95. So then when I take 180, I'm going to subtract 95. I get 85, so 85 must be my other angle. If I added 85 plus 65 plus 30, that would equal 180. Number 2, I'm still trying to find my angle. I know what these two angles are, so I'm just going to add them up. 68 plus 50, I get 118. So I'm going to take 180, I'm going to subtract 118, and I get 62 for my angle. Now be careful. The angle or the graph or picture that you might see, it might not be drawn to scale. So here it kind of looks like all these angles might be about the same. They're not, because that's 68, that's 50, and that's 62. Just be mindful of that. They're not always drawn so that you can tell exactly what the measure of each of those angles are. Alright, so now if I want to figure out what x is in the angle, what you do is you add those together and set them equal to 180, because I know that all 3 angles in a triangle still add to equal 180. So I'm going to add them all together. X plus 2x plus x plus 20. Set that equal to 180. Alright, I'm going to combine all the x's and leave alone the number. So there's 2, 3, 4 of them. I'm trying to get x by itself, so I want to subtract 20. And then I want to divide by 4, so x is 40. Number 4, I want to do something really similar. I know that all these 3 angles add to 180, so I'm going to take x plus 83 plus 40 plus 65, set it equal to 180, and then I'm going to solve. So I'm going to add these together. I added these 3 numbers, and I got 188. So then I'm going to subtract 188 on both sides. You do get a negative. It's okay for x to be a negative because we're just solving for x and we're not solving for the angle. Alright, on the next 2 problems, it asks you to solve for actually a certain angle. So like on number 5, it says to find the measure of angle A. Alright, first we're going to have to figure out what x is, and then we'll go back and figure out that angle. So we're going to add these together. 3x plus 28 plus 5x plus 52 plus 2x minus 10 equals 180. Sorry, that's going over the whole picture there. Alright, we're going to add our x's together. So there's 3, 5, and 2 more. So that's 10x. Alright, then I'm going to add my numbers, 28, 52, and negative 10. Okay, and now I'm going to just solve the equation, so I'm going to subtract 70 on both sides. And then I'm going to divide by 10. And then to finish the question, because it says find the measure of angle A, I need to go back and I need to work with angle A. So I know that angle A is 3x plus 28. And we found that x was 11. So I'm going to put an 11 back in for x. And then I just solve. And you get 61, which is our answer. Alright, number 6. So again, we're trying to find a certain angle. It says find the measure of the angle at the bottom right. So we're looking for this angle down here, this 5x plus 5, which we'll find at the end. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to add all our angles together and equal them to 180. So for this one and this one and then this one, This one is a 90 degrees. Remember our little box that we've talked about? So when we add them, we're going to add in a 90 for that angle. Okay, combine our x's, combine the numbers, and then we want to start moving stuff. So I want to subtract 91 from 180, and then I want to divide by 7. We do get a decimal here, which is kind of strange, but as long as we have done everything right. And you know what? I have not, because right here this was supposed to be a 96. So let's go back and fix that. 180 minus 96 is supposed to be 84. And then 84 divided by 7 is 12. It is okay to get a decimal, but I solved it incorrectly. So x is 12. It does want us to find the measure of this angle. That means that 12 has to go in the place of x. So I'm going to have 5 times 12 plus 5. You get 65. And then that's our answer. Alright, there's another type of angle that we want to talk about when we talk about the angles of a triangle. And the theorem, which is just technically means rule, is that the exterior angle theorem, it says the exterior angle of a triangle equals the sum of the interior angles of a triangle. And those two angles are the two that's not connected to the exterior angle. So what it's saying is the exterior angle, which is this angle way out here, in this case it's angle 4, is equal to the measure of the two remote interior angles. They're the angles that are like far away from the 4. They're inside of the triangle, but it's not the one connected to the 4. 3 is connected, but 1 and 2 are not. So what it's saying is that if you add angle 1 and 2 together, you're going to get angle 4. Now I'm going to show you some examples here, and you can do it using this theorem if you would like, or there's another way to do it. So let's talk about it. So number 1, it wants us to, or number 7, I'm sorry, it wants us to find the missing angle. Alright, what I know and what we just learned about angles in a triangle is that if you add it together, you can figure out the third angle. So one way to solve this problem is to figure out this angle right here. And then you could subtract that from 180 to get this angle because of supplementary angles. But if I just use the theorem that it said that if I want to figure out angle x, that I could just add the two interior angles that's not connected to it, and you would get x is 125, because that equals 65 plus 60. If you don't like that, that is perfectly fine. What you can do is add these two together, 65 plus 60, you get 125. And if you subtract 125 from 180, you'll get 55. What that gives you is this angle right here, which makes sense because those three angles have to add up to equal 180. Well, if you subtract 55 from 180, what do you think you're going to get? Well, you're going to get 125, because see, these two angles right here make a line, so I can say 180 minus 55 to get that one, and I can get 125 that way. Either way will work, but sometimes you're not able to recognize it using the picture that you have. So number 8, you got to decide which way to solve it, whether you want to do exterior angle theorem, which means that plus that equals y. I'm going to do it the other way just so that you can have some practice with that, but you're going to take 30 plus 39, which is 69, and I'm going to take 180 and subtract 69, and I get 111, which is this angle here. And again, if I subtract that from 180, I'll get my answer. Which is 69, which is what we got originally. Alright, so number 9 and 10, still you can use that exterior angle theorem. Again, I'm just going to show you another way just in case you're interested. What I can do first is I can find this angle right here, because I know that these two angles equal 180 because that's supplementary. So I can take 120 and subtract 120 and subtract 180 and get 60. So that would be 60. Now I have two angles in a triangle and I'm looking for the third one. So I add 32 and 60 together, and I'm showing all the work here. You wouldn't have to show all that work, but you would need to show me some work to show me what you're doing. You do get 92, and then if you subtract that from 180, then you'll get 88, and 88 is my final answer there. Number 10. Again, I know that these two angles right here add to 180, and looky, number 9 and number 10 are exactly the same, so I'm going to skip number 10. We're going to go on to number 11. Number 11 looks a little bit more complicated because there's a lot more moving parts, but you're still just going to be subtracting 180 from a bunch of things. So start off with the part that has two angles. I have a 55 and a 90 here, so I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to add those and subtract from 180 to get x. So 90 plus 55 is 145, and then 180 minus 145 is 35, and that's x. So right now I know that that is 35. Well, then I need to get y. Well, y is right beside of x, and it makes a line, so I know that 180 minus 35, which is 145, is y, because it's side by side. So now I look at that the second triangle, that little triangle there, and I know that that's 10, and that's 145. So to find z, I'm going to take 180 minus whatever those two are together, which is 155. And I'm going to subtract that from 180. And I get 25, and so that is z. So it's a bunch of subtracting 180s that will work. All right, last question. Start with the one that has 2 in it, and then find the third one. So I'm going to add 56 and 62 together, and I get 118. So I'm going to subtract 180 minus 118. So that's 62. All right, and then I'm going to find b, which I know if I subtract 180 minus 62, that will give me v. That comes out to be 118. And then now I look at this triangle here. I've got that angle and that angle. I'm looking for w, so I know if I add 118 and 25 together, I'll get 143. Subtract that from 180, and you get 37. And so 37 is my answer, which is w.